What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 3 different cryptos today. In order, we'll be talking about Zora, KTA, Kita, and then Cookie DAO. Those 3 cryptos. Zora, KDA, Cookie DAO. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It is the 5th day of December. We have about 6 hours left in the day. 4.6 cents is the price for Zora. We're expecting big things out of this one. We're expecting very big things out of this. Looking at it on the daily time frame here, I see no reason why it should not get the green light to buy, right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but even if we go lower from here, even if we see lower lows than these lows, I still think Zora is at an impeccable price to for acquisition to buy right now. Here we are at 4.6 cents. The expectation here overall is that this range, we had a very nice move up. We did not pump and dump like scams do. We pumped and we consolidated like good projects do, and we likely build from here, right? Out of this consolidation phase will come prosperity. And when we break out, I doubt that we've been consolidating since August just for a move that would do this. We're probably going to get a sizable amount away from this high, and with that, if we take a high here and the assumed low here, because I mean, we could go lower still, the expectation is 21 cents to 32 cents as our primary target zone. If we do get above the golden ratio, 32.6 cents, if we can get above this orange line here, then our target would be somewhere around 46 cents to $1.17. If we were to replicate this move that we saw here from back in July to August, we put it at the low of the flag here, potentially this is a flag, that could take us all the way up to 75 cents. If we saw a replicated move from low to high, that would take us up to 75 cents. And typically with the 2272, you typically do wick just a little bit above there. So something above 75 cents overall might be the final destination of this, sometime in February, March, maybe at the end of January, whenever we break out. At a bare minimum, we're expecting a 21 cent to 32 cent price, but I genuinely would not be surprised at all if we saw prices that were at least at 46 cents or higher by the end of this next endeavor. Now, we might find turbulence along the way. Perhaps we move up, we find some turbulence here or there, whatever, but I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if we landed somewhere in this zone between $1.17 and 46 cents ultimately. But with that being said, the very first target, the primary target zone, the 1272 to the 1618, this zone does encapsulate a move that would be about 4.5x to a 7x move. That's still pretty decent gains, especially from here. And likely, whenever this happens, I don't expect it to happen like this, where it's just 1 week, 2 weeks goes by, and boom, we're up there. Maybe it does. Likely it'll be a little bit more methodical, but it should be a rather rapid move, a rapid approach to the upside. I doubt it takes months to get up here. By the end of January, we should at least be up here. I wouldn't be surprised at all if by the end of December we were already at new all-time highs, okay? I really do think that by the end of January, February, we'll probably be up here, but at least up here by the end of January. At least a 4x, 4.5x move over the next month and a half, probably. Sorry, hold on, guys, hold on. All right, so if we're looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, I just want to look at this real quick and see what the odds are that we go lower. 1 hour time frame here, the RSI looks sad. We do have a little bit of a double bottom. Stochastics have bullish divergence in the MACD. The MACD looks sad as well. Makes me think we could go lower. If we go lower, what do we see? Well, look at this. We are pushing lower. We did break out, but there's no volume. No volume at all. That's actually kind of nice. We should be looking for a bounce here. When I say we go lower, not below this low is what I'm thinking. Low to high. We're not going to take the fake out high. We're going to take this high. You're right at the golden ratio zone. Maybe I spoke too soon. Perhaps we do not go lower. Perhaps this is actually the perfect area to find support and move up higher. This is actually a good area, you guys. A really good area right here. I think this is perfect. I mean, everything looks bad, but at the same time, your RSI is at the oversold zone. You have bounced here multiple times before. Your stochastics are reset, and your MACD, well, your MACD is kind of useless, honestly. It would explain that we go lower. And if we do go lower, maybe we do, we go down to about 4.5 cents, 4.4 cents, but I doubt we go lower than that. Should we go lower than that, 4 cents itself to 3.7 cents could hold as support, but I doubt we go that low. And if we do, fine, whatever. I would still say it's a great time to buy. The amount of pain that you sit through will be however much. I mean, from a percentage basis, maybe it's 20% at the most. Maybe. But the amount of time spent down here below this low at all or lower than where we are now, it's going to be so insignificant. This move, in other words, what I'm saying is if you're worried about this, like I'm worried about this. I'm worried about missing. You know what I mean? That this is small in comparison to what we have to the upside. So I have no problem saying it's a good time to buy here. I'm even tempted to actually throw some cash at this thing right now. To be completely fair, I'll let you guys know on X.com if I do. I will on my own X page tell you if that happens. At C-Zar 69420, that's me. I changed my what's the word, my handle, my X handle. Zora looking frisky. Daily time frame reset, RSI, stochastics, MACD. It wouldn't surprise me too much if we went a little bit lower, but I do think that we're at a point to find support, and I do think that we will move higher from here. Again, should we move below any of these lows, the amount of time spent below here will be very short-lived. I'm not calling for that specifically, but I'm just prepared for it if it happens. Really what I'm calling for is buy, buy, buy. It's a good time to buy, and we've been saying that really ever since, probably ever since we've been below 7 cents, genuinely. That's Zora. Let's talk about KTA now. KTA. Kita, the cheetah. Kita, I have to admit, is looking pretty damn good. Now, if anybody's watching this video and you're thinking, I'm not in it for Kita, you might want to stick around. There's some interesting stuff going on here. And I have a feeling that what we're doing here is we're kind of rounding out our bottom, right? I mean, just imagine here, from a low to a low, that was the pace that we had. And then from a low here to a low there, you see that that pace is deadening, it's decaying, it's less of a pace. That slope is neutralizing. Here, same thing, right? Do you see how we're rounding out our lows? Do you see it? That's good. That's actually really good. And what's great about this is it's not something that's formed on a 1 hour period. This is something that's been forming since August. This has been multiple months in the making of this kind of rounded bottom structure. And we can observe this not just in the price, but in the RSI as well. And this isn't a guarantee, but a little known fact about the RSI is typically with these downtrends, these lower lows, lower highs, they typically end in the oversold zone. Now, this did not end its downtrend in a conventional way, but you have your downtrend here, which turned into a sideways trend. We're now in a horizontal range. At the lower parts, we're below the 50, predominantly living down here, but still a sideways trend. It went from a downtrend to a sideways trend. And typically in moments like this is when you shift into an upwards trend. Okay. Now in these sideways trends, that's whenever you're typically at your worst. That's when you're pushing lower. That's when you're at your low ends. Just because you break out of your downtrend, you're moving sideways now doesn't mean you move up. But it is a signal that there's a shift coming along. And we can see that signal of a shift here in the RSI on the daily time frame. We can also see it on the price. It's almost like what we've got here is this enormous pressure being built against this line here. It looks like, hold on guys. It looks like a straight line down with a blemish here or there. You know, maybe it's a straight line from here, whatever, right? Straight line down for resistance. But on the other end of this, it's a curved line, right? There's some pressure being built right up to this point. When this gives, when we break out of this line, whatever it might be, this downward sloping trend, when we break out of that, the move we should get should represent something fierce. It should be fierce, and I think it will be fierce, right? It's like here, you've got this straight line here, but your upwards pressure is dying off, right? You're building pressure down to here. Once that line broke, the move that you saw was appropriate of that, right? And I'm not saying that the move up that we see is going to be this big. I'm not saying the move up that we see is going to be this small. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be surprised if from here we slingshotted, we snapped back to this 60-cent level. Any day now. Any day now. I mean, it could be by the end of next week. It could be by the end of the month. Who knows how long it's going to take, but I honestly would be surprised if it took until the end of the month. I think that soon enough, and maybe as soon as next week, we're back up here. Again, this initial break should be a bit of a snap. And then from there, I think that we're going to continue moving higher from a high to a low. The expectation is that we go all the way up to about $3.14 to $6.90. I have very high prospects for KTA. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if by the end of the cycle we saw something that was worth $30, $60, maybe even above $100 by the end of the cycle. You have immense potential with KTA, you guys. Tremendous potential, absolutely tremendous. But from here, we're focused on this little 12x to 27x move. Okay, that's the next target area. The next target by the end of this next endeavor, right, where Zora's next endeavor was anything from like a 4x at a minimum to a maybe like a, what was it at the maximum? Like a 16x at a maximum. This thing's minimum is more of like an 11x, and the maximum is a 27x. So just, and more of like a 12x actually at a minimum. So phenomenal growth here. And it probably doesn't all happen at once. It's probably not just going to happen in one fell swoop, but I do expect it to be faster than the movement down. This took since August, right? August, so now it's December. So September, October, November, December. It's almost been 4 months since this high. It's taken 4 months basically to get down to this low. It's going to take less than half the time to eat that back. Okay, I would think by the end of January, we're definitely, I shouldn't say definitely, but by the end of January, I suspect we would see new all-time highs for KTA, which means that in the next month and a half, we should see something on the lines of about a 7x move or more is what my expectation would be. That's KTA. I think it's a phenomenal time to buy. And then Cookie Dow, there's a theme with all these, right? They're all at very low points. They're at really good areas to buy, and they have immense potential to grow. Cookie Dow, speaking of which, has been beat up. It almost looks as though we have a bear flag here, to be completely honest. And that's not a good look. We don't really want to go too much lower. If we do, we run the risk of approaching prices that are below 4 cents, even below 3 cents. Which, if that happens, is just a better buying opportunity. But I'm genuinely amazed every day that I see Cookie Down at these levels here. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but got the baby crying. But that was a baby. That's what my daughter said. Yeah, that was a baby. But everything's fine. Wife and daughter are on it. 5.2 cents here. 2 days, 6 hours left in this week. What was I gonna say? I was saying that I'm amazed that Cookie Dow is at this level. It truly is. Out of all these projects, first off, I think every single project we've talked about so far is undervalued, but I think Cookie Dow is immensely undervalued. And you can see it here. You're kind of rolling over. You've got this like parabolic structure. When parabolic structure breaks, whether it's to the upside, whether it's to the downside, it breaks like this. It breaks like this. Like you're due for a V-shaped recovery, and you likely will go back very quickly to this price of about 14.7 cents. Now you're at 5 cents now. So, we talked about like a snapback for KTA, talked about the breakout for Zora. Whenever this thing snaps, it's likely going to snap immediately back to this 15 cent, 16 cent area. You're at 5.2 cents now. So you've got a little 3x move programmed in there just to start things off, let alone by the time you see new all-time highs, which you will see new all-time highs. I'm very confident that you will. From a high to a low, and we're not taking the scam wick low, we're taking the real low here. The expectation is that we'd see $1.85 to $5 probably sometime in the near future. Now, I highly doubt that it's the end of Q1 and we see a $5 Cookie Dow price. It can happen, but this might be reserved for a later date. This might be reserved for sometime later in 2026, maybe in Q2. But $1.85 to $3, I could see that happening sometime in Q1, which is absolutely immense. I mean, we're talking about a 36x, 51x, 52x. I mean, just immense potential there, you guys. So something between $3 and $1.85 is ultimately where I think we're going to go with Cookie Dow. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if this month of December we were back above 30 cents, maybe even above 40 cents by the end of the month. I certainly do expect that soon enough, probably if not next week, then the following week, soon enough, maybe Christmas week, we get a snap. And I'm telling you guys, in 1 week's time, not 1 week's time from here, but when the move starts, it'll take 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. We're going to make a move that goes all the way up to 15 cents and beyond. Maybe consolidate a little bit, and then going into January, we start to push higher to new all-time highs and stuff like that. I don't really have anything else that I want to say. I think I've said everything I need to say. You do have higher highs on your RSI while having lower highs here, so there's a little hidden bearish divergence. That might be why you're moving down. 4-hour time frame looks a little bit wonky, but that's okay. I mean, it's about to be the weekend. I think we're at as good of a price as any to buy, but what I will say is, should we go below, like 4 point, let's say we close a day below 4.6 cents, that would be a bit intimidating. At that point, I would be curious if we do see some kind of extension down based off of this, and that could take us down to 3 cents or lower, which would be a pretty hefty drop from here at 5.2 cents. So something to be aware of there. But genuinely, I think it's a great time to buy. I'm most tempted out of all these coins right now, I'm most tempted to buy KTA. But I think the most potential resides here with Cookie Dow. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.